Welcome back, Short Kings, to another episode of The Last Chance to Play Prediction. Buckle up your seats because this month is gonna be a big one. Although the Last Chance to Play section does give us a month's notice, you'd have to find and browse this menu on the day that it is announced to get that full month's warning. Which brings us to this series that everyone's loving. It's The Last Chance to Play Predictions.
Breaking news! This just came in. The prediction made in this video of how the extra 5 days that Sony is going to give us will lock us out of the Black Friday deal just came true today. There was no option to opt out of the 5 extra days, which means you won't get the Black Friday deal this year, since your new expiry date is now in December. Back to you, Olive.
Now, we've been doing pretty good so far from the predictions. From this list alone, the only ones we didn't guess were Monster Energy Supercross and Mortal Kombat 11. Every other game on this list was predicted in advance. That is, if you were a subscriber to this channel. Since April's Last Chance to Play is going to have some heavy hitters, I'm going to release this prediction video for you guys the first week of the month, giving you an extra 2-week head start. And believe me, you're gonna need it. All right, let's jump right into it. We don't have that much time because there's a lot of big games to go over. For all the short attention span kings, if you just want to see the name of the titles and leave a like on your way out, you can scroll through the chapters. Yes, the titles of the games will be in the chapter's name, unlike other channels that just say Game 1, Game 2. So if you appreciate that kind of honesty, leave a like for the algo on your way out. For everyone else sticking around, you're in for a treat because we'll tell you about these games and even include gameplay footage. All right, so let's go to the PlayStation blog from last year's games. April 2024 was a huge day for us because not only did we get a day 1 drop, we got 2 day 1 drops. We had Dave the Diver and Animal Well. Technically, Dave the Diver was released in 2023 for Mac and Windows, and then for the Nintendo Switch a few months later, but the PS4 and PS5 version was released in April of 2024, and it came to PS Plus Extra day 1, even though it was released a year earlier. But Animal Well, on the other hand, was a true day 1 drop because it was released on every platform on May of last year. Well, except for Xbox, they got it in October. Sorry, Xbox. So Animal Well is a little bit tricky because it was released in May. Too early for May's catalog and too late for April's catalog. So it's kind of an in-between. It may leave in May, but it may leave in April. But I'm putting this on the list just so you can get a head start. All the other games came on the second week of April. So keep that in mind when we talk about Animal Well. This is one of my favorite games I played last year. Originally, I fell into the hype of Dave the Diver and I played it and I loved it, but it was a little bit too long. Animal Well, on the other hand, I put on the back burner until December, and I wish I didn't. I wish I played this day 1. Like, Animal Well is a true indie game. It was made by one person, Billy Basso. He did the art, the music, the game. He even created his own game engine to make this. It is a fascinating story, and any behind-the-scenes Animal Well video you come across, definitely click it, because you'll learn more and more, and you'll learn to love it more and more. Big Mode Publisher. What's Big Mode Publisher? My indie game publishing company. Yes, the hilarious gamer YouTuber Video Game Donkey made this publishing company so he could release this game. So Animal Well was made by 2 people. Dave the Diver looks like an indie game and it pretends to be an indie game, but it is not an indie game. It was made by Mint Rocket, which is a subsidiary corporation of Nexcon. You might have heard of Nexcon, you might have haven't, depending on the kind of games you play. Nexcon is a multi-billion-dollar company. This is not a DIY project, and it's definitely not an indie game. I hate to start the video like that because I do love Dave the Diver, but I just wanted to tell you the difference between an actual indie game and a game pretending to be an indie game. Just because it has pixel art doesn't mean it's an indie game. But either way, these 2 games are the ones that you should definitely play if you haven't played them already on this entire video. If you only have time for one, I will say Animal Well. And again, not just because it's an indie game, but this is a short game compared to Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver has all the check marks of a AAA open world game. Lots of busy work, lots of mini games, and lots of hand holding, but it has a really fun core game loop. Animal Well, on the other hand, doesn't really explain much. It treats you like an adult. It gives you all the tools and expects you to figure out how to play the game. And because of that ambiguity, you'll discover new ways to get around and use the tools, which will make you feel really cool. This one is full of secrets, and it's probably one of the best platinums to get on PlayStation. It is very rewarding and not a chore for at all. But let's move on from these two games. I talked enough about them. The next game on the list is Zao, Tales of Kenzera. How do I describe this game? Afro-futuristic? Basically, if you enjoyed the spiritual scenes in Wakanda in Black Panther, you'll be right at home too. This game even used the Black Panther choir, so the music and vibe is very similar. It is a Metroidvania and it only takes about 7 hours to beat. Just like in Black Panther, you have powers, but instead of vibranium, you've got masks. We got the sun mask, we got the moon mask, and each one has its own powers and abilities. Let's move on to the next one. Oddballers. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that one. And we're not going to talk about Construction Simulator either. I believe The Crew 2 is a Ubisoft game, so it is in the Ubisoft Classics section. These games tend not to leave, so don't worry about these games. And if you're going to miss the fishing one, look, there's another one, Legendary Fishing. This game is similar to Zao, but it's Raji. It's about Indian mythologies this time. This one, I feel, wasn't as strong as Zao, but it's still worth playing for the mythology if you like that sort of thing. Lego games tend not to leave, so we won't worry about that one. Nour, Play With Your Food. I don't even know if this is a game. I thought it was going to be like Fruit Ninja or something, but I don't know. I don't even know if to call it a game. I'll leave it at that. But it's probably leaving. I don't think anyone even played it. And then we have Deliver Us Mars. So if you played Deliver Us the Moon, this is the sequel. Deliver Us the Moon was a great game to play when it came out, but the sequel tried something different. I don't remember seeing people's faces in the first one. It was just a third-person perspective of an astronaut helmet and suit as you solved puzzles and walked around an abandoned base in the moon. This one really tries to tell a story and use actual people. And it's not their strong suit. Maybe that's why it got such a low rating. The story and premise is really good. I was really into it. Very cinematic. But I don't know, just the facial textures and models are distractingly bad. The voice acting and story was surprisingly decent. I don't know, it just didn't match. The space stuff is awesome. It's just like the first one. You get to float around, fix stuff, break stuff, whatever. Get into trouble and solve some mysteries. But just the human-to-human interaction stuff, I don't know, it just wasn't as good. Like even the walking seemed weird. But it is a short game. It's only about 8 hours to play and 11 hours to platinum. But like I said, it has a really low rating of 69 on Metacritic. The next game on the list is Miasma Chronicles, which also has a score of 69. I wouldn't bother with this one either because there are some really good games that have been here for 2 years and are about to go. The last game on the list from 2024 is Stray Blade, which, believe it or not, has a worse score. So let's skip that one. All right, to the part that I've been excited to talk about, let's jump to 2023 because there are so many gems in here. 2023 was a huge month for us. We have Kena, Bridge of Spirits. This is one of the most beautiful games that came to the service. It looks legit like a Pixar movie. I know it seems all cutesy and kid-friendly. It has all this like big eyes and nice animation. It even has like a meditation section where you could just relax. It doesn't seem like a game made for hardcore gamers, but that's only on the surface because this game will humble you. The difficulty is so hard when it comes to the bosses. These bosses are Souls-like bosses. You're gonna be dodging so much and you have no room to heal. So you have to get it right. You have to get it perfect. But the other half of the game, you're collecting cute little things. The story itself, you're a young spirit guide and basically you're finding lost souls and helping them find the afterlife and coming to terms with what happened. It's not the most kid-friendly topic either. I know it seems so cute. It's like such a cute and wholesome looking game, but there is way more underneath the surface. And speaking of underneath the surface, this is a big one that I haven't beat. And I really should have. Boom, boom. Doom Eternal. One of the most favorite FPS games, according to a lot of people. They love this one. It changed things up a lot by turning the formula on its head. So instead of the majority of shooters where you're hiding behind cover and shooting, peeking, rolling, ducking, this one forces you to get up close. You want more ammo? You have to go in for a melee kill. Running low on health? There's not going to be much health drops. You have to go in for a melee kill. Basically, to survive this fast-paced, high-octane game, you have to be willing to get close and not hide from your fights. It's the ultimate combination of speed and power. And like I said, if you want health, armor, or ammo, you have to get melee kills. So start that one if you haven't. I'm not even going to tell you to beat it. Just play the first hour and see if it vibes with you or not. If you like fast action, you're going to be in for a treat. Next, Riders Republic. I believe this is also a Ubisoft game. So look at that. Immortals Phoenix Rising, I predicted last month would not go because it is a Ubisoft game. Same with Rainbow Six Extraction. That was a year ago. Riders Republic is probably not gonna go, so I wouldn't worry about that one. The next huge series is the Wolfenstein games. Very similar to Doom and Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein made its mark in the early days of 3D FPS shooters, and it came back recently with a revival. Now, 2 years ago, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, and Wolfenstein The Old Blood were dropped April of 2023. Now, the really confusing thing about this game is which order to play them in. Wolfenstein The New Order is technically the first one. Old Blood is a prequel. The New Colossus is a sequel. So the sequel and the prequel are potentially leaving next month, but the New Order, it might still stick around because these ones were specifically dropped in April of 2023. So their 2-year contract is almost up. So let's go back to New Colossus first. I know it's confusing because this one technically is the sequel, but it is newer and it has better graphics, but some people didn't like it as much. But if you've ever wondered what it's like to duel guns while your legs are broken and are confined to a wheelchair, this game might be right up your alley. You can wheel around silently and take down baddies using stealth combat, something that they totally did not see coming. Obviously, you're not bound to a wheelchair the entire game. I just thought that part of the game was really unique and fun. Also worth mentioning, these games are definitely not for kids. These games are mature, not for the faint of heart. Graphic content warning. But if you like that kind of thing, this will be quite a blast. All right, next game on the list, Slay the Spire. I'm kind of really sad about this one because Slay the Spire was originally a monthly essential game, and I made the mistake of not claiming it. I was like, card game? I don't know. I'm not even going to bother downloading it. Boy, did I regret that decision. This is technically a short game, but it really is not. Like, you could technically beat a run in 3-4 hours, but this game is capable of sucking hundreds or even thousands of hours. It is highly addictive and well thought out. You'll be coming back for more and more. After all, it is sort of a roguelike. All right, the next game on the list. I know this game seems silly on the outside, but it has a really high rating. Why does it have such a high rating? Because it has a kick-ass anime intro song. That's why. So Monster Boy has similar powers to Beast Boy from Teen Titans, if you remember that. You change into different animals and use different abilities throughout the game. It is a 2D platformer and you'll be hooked because it's always changing and keeping things fresh. Highly recommend you play that game. The Evil Within, it already left. I played that one and it is gone, but the Evil Within 2 is still there, so we'll talk about that when that one leaves. Wolfenstein The Old Blood, we already talked about it. This is the prequel to Wolfenstein The New Order. If you're going to devote the next 6 weeks to Wolfenstein games, maybe we should start right now. Start with this one, play the first one, and then play The New Colossus, the sequel. You can beat all 3 games in 6 weeks, 2 weeks at a time. Can you do it? I think you can do it. With the 2 extra weeks this video is going to give you, you're going to have 6 weeks to beat all 3. So that means 2 weeks for each game. So if you start with Old Blood, it's only 6 hours or 8 for the main and extra. And then we're going to jump into The New Order, which is only 11 hours or 16 hours. The last one is the longest with 11 hours and 17 hours or 33 hours if you want to get the platinum. So I think if you just stick to the main story, you should be able to beat all 3 games. Old Blood, The New Order, and The New Colossus. But I predict only the Old Blood and The New Colossus are going to leave because those were the ones that had a 2-year contract. But if I was the publisher, I'd probably move this one as well. But even if they do leave, they do get on sale. Like 2 weeks ago, you could buy all 4 games for $12. So maybe there is hope. So even if you skip this one, maybe buy it in the future. But for now, just try it. If you don't like the style, then whatever, you just wasted half an hour. But if you do like the style and are afraid you don't have enough time to beat all 4, then maybe just give each like half an hour, and then when it comes on sale, buy them all for a deep discount. Moving on, the next game on the list is Bassmaster Fishing. We're not going to talk about that one because it is leaving, and in Ubisoft Classics, we have Legendary Fishing. So maybe play that one instead. How are you liking these videos so far? I'm sorry, I'm just fishing for compliments. And then we have Paradise Killer. This one has a pretty high rating. Users scored it a 7.5 and critics scored it an 81. It's basically a murder mystery detective style game, and those who've played it really liked it. The last one, I hope it doesn't leave. I really like this game. It is Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Now, I believe this one was released as an essential game, so if you claimed it as a monthly game, you have it forever. But if you haven't, give this one a try. The main thing I really liked about this game was was the soundtrack. I was not expecting to hear actual songs from the radio in a video game. And it's not like cringy like some sports or racing games where they just throw some random playlist that just plays in the background. This one like moves with the song. Like the whole level moves with the song. So it kind of does like a little loop of verse 1 and waits for you to finish it. And then it's like, okay, now let's get to the pre-chorus. And then it plays that over and over again. And then it kind of waits again for you to really hit the apex. And then it's like, bam, let's throw the chorus now. Bam. So it's not just playing just one song in the background the whole time. I wish I could demonstrate, but I'm not allowed to play actual songs on YouTube.
Girl, say hallelujah.
So I played this originally and it was a great game, but I didn't know that the entire game can be played in co-op mode. So I knew that there were some levels that you needed. It was mandatory to play in co-op mode, and those levels are really fun. It is a combination of like Astrobot and It Takes Two. Really solid platforming game. And that concludes the list, but before we leave, here are the premium games. I know I always leave you guys out, so let's talk about these real quick. Now, I'm not as well versed on premium, so some of these games might have left, some of these games might still be there. But here are the premium games that were released 2 years ago. So we have all the Dooms. Look at this. Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 64, Doom 3, and Dishonored, the original, Dishonored Definitive Edition. For last year, the PlayStation Premium Classics included Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, the original PlayStation version, Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire, again, the original PlayStation version, and Medieval. Oh, I played that one. That's such an old game. I love that one. The original PlayStation version. This is from like the early 2000s. Anyway, that concludes the video. So as far as prediction, let's go through them again. So Animal Well will probably leave in May. So I don't think it's going to leave when these other games are leaving because it was released in May instead of April. These games are probably leaving. Zao, Dave the Diver, Oddballers, Raji, Deliver Us Mars, maybe, but because Deliver Us the Moon left and it came back. So I don't know if they did a 2-year contract or a 1-year contract. I'm going to say a maybe on this one. Probably these ones, Miasma Chronicles and Stray. And as for 2 years ago, the big one is Kena Bridge of Spirits and Doom Eternal. Oh, there are so many good games to play this month. So I'm sorry for whatever game you're playing, but you're going to have to put it on pause because you're going to have to play these huge games the next 6 weeks. So from this list, I highly recommend you play Dave the Diver and Animal Well. And from this list, I highly recommend you play Doom Eternal and Kena Bridge of Spirits. Slay the Spire for all the deck builder fans out there. If you didn't claim this as a monthly essential game, I am so sorry, because this one is one that deserves to be on your system at all times because it offers great gameplay for little short bursts at a time. And for the classic format, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom was a really fun game. And another game that you should have claimed as an essential game is Sackboy. So those are my highest recommendations. And if you watch this far in the video, then you are a true fan. I got a special treat for you. I know sometimes you don't get these prediction videos in time, so I have a solution. As of today, we officially have a subreddit. So join me at All of Ocelot for not only better notifications, but to also join my Game of the Month club. Every month, we're going to choose a game to play, and then we can discuss the game and not worry about spoilers. The first 10 to join will get a shout out in the future video. So good luck the next 6 weeks tackling these big games. Drop a comment telling me below which games you're going to play and in what order. Have you had the lucky fortune of actually beating these already? Let me know. I hope you appreciate the extra 2 weeks, and thanks for supporting this channel and this prediction series. So until next time, be a friend and I'll see you again.